All right, Algebra 1B students, welcome to part 1 of lesson 11.1. We're starting a new chapter in this video where we're going to be talking about rational expressions. Now, rational expressions, for the most part, look like fractions, but the fractions now on the top and bottom are going to have algebraic-looking things, polynomials like x plus 4, or x squared plus 4, something like that. Okay, so anytime you have a fraction where the top and bottom are some kind of polynomial, at least one of the two involving an x, either the top or the bottom or both, you have what's called a rational expression. Now, in this video, we're just going to first look at what it means to simplify a rational expression. Okay, to simplify a rational expression, we're going to have to divide out common factors from the top and the bottom. So what that's going to involve is first the idea of factoring. Okay? First factoring, and then on top of factoring, we will also cancel what's the same. Right? So first we will factor each top and bottom of the fraction, then we will cancel what's the same. Factoring, then canceling. Factor and cancel. Factor and cancel. Okay? So if we look at this first problem, we see here a little algebraic expression that says x minus 1. That's the top of my fraction. And the bottom is 5x minus 5. Now, they're asking us to simplify this fraction. Basically, reduce the fraction. The top, x and 1, don't have anything in common that I can factor out to the front. But the bottom of this fraction does have something that both of these pieces could be divided by very easily, and that's a 5. So the factored form of this expression here is going to be 5 times in parentheses. Well, if I divide the 5 away from here, I just have x, and it's minus 5 divided by 5, because I'm factoring that out, gives me 1. So what I end up with then is x minus 1 over 5 times in parentheses x minus 1. Now what I want you to notice is that on the top and bottom of this fraction, I have something that's the same. There's an x minus 1 on the top and an x minus 1 on the bottom. Those two pieces can cancel out and go away. What am I left with? Well, on the top, nothing's left. I've canceled out everything that I had. So when that happens, when you cancel everything, when everything cancels, you have a 1. Okay, when everything cancels, you have a 1 on the top of the fraction. What's left on the bottom of the fraction? Well, that's a 5. So my final answer here for the simplified form of this fraction is 1 over 5. Okay, because I factored out the 5 on the bottom, I saw that I could cancel that with the x minus 1 on the top, and then I cancel and I write what's left. 1 on the top because everything went away, and a 5 on the bottom that I factored out to the front. So this is the simplified form of x minus 1 over 5x minus 5. I factored and then I canceled. Factor and then cancel. All right? I'd like you to try a couple of these here. Try factoring something out on the bottom of letter B. I think we can factor out a 4 here. And then here, the bottom can also be factored. I think you can divide both of those by a 3. So factor out a 3 and see what you get. Okay, so give those a try. Pause the video. Try to simplify those two. And then come on back and I'll show you what we should have. All right, letter B, when we factor out the 4, we should be able to cancel the 18 and the 4 and end up with a 9 on the top, and in the front on the bottom I think we should end up with a 2. There's also a set of parentheses on the bottom that say D plus 2. And because that's added with the 2, we do not get to cancel that with anything from the top. So there's not a lot of canceling that gets to happen here. Our final answer should say this, because 9 and 2 can't be reduced or cancel at all, and the d squared and d plus 2 are not the same either, so we can't cancel those either, right? So that's our final answer for B. And in letter C, when we factor out the 3 on the bottom, we end up with 3 parentheses 2n minus 3. The 2n minus 3's can cancel out, and we end up with 1 over 3 as our final answer. Okay, so we factor and then we cancel as much as we can. Here, of course, we cannot cancel anything because this d is attached with the plus 2. Otherwise, we could cancel the d squared and the d and make just 1 on the top. But because of the plus 2, we can't do that. All right? Now, we may also have to factor a quadratic equation when we do this. That's something we dealt with way back in chapters 8 and 9. Hopefully that's something that we remember. If not, we'll have to do a little refresher on that. 2 numbers that multiply to be this and add up to be that. But if I'm asked to simplify this fraction, here now I can factor both the top and the bottom. The top, I'm just looking to factor out a piece that's the same, and then on the bottom, of course, I will try to make my 2 parentheses pieces based on the numbers I need to multiply to -6 and add up to +1. On the top, I just get to factor out a 3 because both of these pieces can be divided by 3, and I believe what I have left is an x and then a -2. X and a -2. And then on the bottom of the fraction, I have a quadratic that I need to factor. I need 2 numbers that multiply to be -6 and add up to be a +1. +1 when I add them together. Well, that's a +3 and a -2. Because +3 times -2 will give me -6, and if I add them up, I get +1. So I make these to be my factors. And now you should notice that there are a set of parentheses on the top and bottom of this fraction that are the same. When you have entire sets of parentheses that are the same, you are allowed to cancel this with this. Okay, now you're not allowed to cancel this 3 with this 3. Don't do that, because this 3 is attached with the x with a plus sign, and anytime you have something added or subtracted with something else, you don't just get to cancel that number. So what do I have left now once I cancel these 2 parenthesis pieces? My final answer is 3 over x plus 3. And that is my final answer here. Okay. So again, we should refresh our memories on our quadratic factoring, and then make sure that we understand we can only cancel whole sets of parentheses, not anything added or subtracted or anything, just these numbers. Only whole sets of parentheses or things not in parentheses at all. Here's a couple for you to try. Let's just have you guys try letter A. Do not cancel the 2 x's and the -8, but factor both the top and bottom, factoring the 2 out on the top and factoring the quadratic on the bottom, and then cancel some things and get a final answer. Once you have that, come on back and I'll show you what we should get. The top is 2 times x minus 4. The bottom of this fraction factors into x minus 4 and an x plus 2. And then the set of parentheses that's the same on the top and bottom is x minus 4 and x minus 4. Those get to cancel out. The 2's don't get to cancel because this one's added with an x. So my final answer is 2 over x plus 2. If you have questions about factoring and canceling to simplify a rational expression, please make a note to ask me in class tomorrow. Otherwise, that's all I have for you. Have a wonderful night.